Welcome to the Fellas Podcast, the ultimate Formula One podcast for fans by fans, where we discuss all the happenings in the world of Formula One. Now, let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fellas. Today, we're going to talk about the Baku race, or the Baku Grand Prix, rather. Joined today with my colleagues, or esteemed colleagues, Ralph and Ray. And we're going to talk about all the excitement that took place this week. But first, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. We appreciate all the support that you guys provide us. Hello, Ray and Ralph. Today, I think we got a lot to talk about. A couple of topics that I think are key is talking about Piastri's win and whether or not this was his first legitimate win. How did Leclerc lose this race? Definitely got to talk about Perez and Sainz's crash at the lap 48, I think it was, and Mercedes' ability to not compete today. So without further ado, let's get into it. What do you guys think about the race today?
It was okay it was an okay race, but it was good. No, it was a good. I mean, when I say okay, it was a good race. Good race. Sorry.
Yeah. It was a good race in the sense of it's not Max running away with it again. You know, from that point of view, and then all else that happened on the track, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was a good race. My opinion, this is Piastri's official legitimate race. I think
I second that.
You could tell that he was very excited about this win. He earned it. He definitely took Leclerc on that pass that he didn't even see coming, in my opinion. But we'll talk about that. But I think Piastri today did what he'd been wanting to do for a long time. I think now that monkey's off his back, I think he's going to definitely give his teammate a run for his money. I think Piastri is no longer holding back now that he got 2 wins under his belt. It's going to be interesting to see how this season plays out.
I agree.
Yeah, true. I'd agree.
What did you guys think about how Leclerc lost the race? I think he lost the race versus Piastri really winning it. He did take him on that lap where I was coming into, I think it was turn 2. And I don't think he was defending hard enough. He just didn't even see him coming and wasn't paying attention, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I would say this. The tires went away from Leclerc, right? Because the back got loose, right? And I'll say this: you guys are gonna love this. McLaren had the faster car on the track today. Come on, Simon, you should be smiling. I know you want to smile.
I'm smiling. I'm just waiting for the but. I'm waiting for the however.
No. They had the faster car on track today. There was no buts about it. And Oscar put a stamp on it to let him know that he is a driver. He's a contender, right? However, that right now the team is ahead, I think, by 20 points, and they're leading the championship. But again, now the problem with the team is then how are they going to get this out for drivers' championship, right? Because if you look at when they reached out to Lando to say, "Yo, Checko," Lando came back for how long, right? In the radio exchange, he does just, it wasn't like, when they told Checko to check up Lewis, Checko never come back and said to them, any rebuttal. He just did it, right? And Lando came back and of course, Lando said, "Hey, how long?" Right, and the guy had to justify how long we needed you to do this for him. So I think they're going to have an issue they have an issue currently on their hands on how they're going to figure out how they're going to do this, because Mark Webber was on site this time, and I watched a podcast with Mark Webber and the guy he did the commentary in the last race at the end of the last race.
David Coulthard?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And they had and Mark was like, Oscar is ready to roll, right? He is a number 1. He's not a number 2 driver. He's a number 1 driver. He's ready to roll, right? So the McLaren has an issue right now is to figure out how they're going to handle this, basically, right? Because Oscar came out to say, "Hey, that's it." You know what I'm saying? And he's either going to sit down and crunch the numbers and see what the probabilities are, right? But they have some decision to make. Andrea Seidel has a decision to make based upon that. So, it's going to be interesting to see, because they kind of some people say they kind of missed bringing in Oscar at the right time, so that's why they had to use Lando to Checko, right? He was on the tier today. Checko was, he was on the tier today.
Okay. Yeah, he was. And I have something about that which I think you mentioned, Ray, in one of the last races, but I'll save it until later. The thing about Oscar's pass on Charles, he actually passed him on lap 20 when tires were still better. And then, yes, when Charles was trying to challenge him later, then he got him again. He was able to defend and Charles' tires were gone. With the thing with McLaren and Mark Webber and Piastri, yes, I mean it's been said by some and mentioned, and like you said, DC had an interview with him about it. They said Mark, being his manager, Mark never liked his treatment at Red Bull, where he was designated the number 2. So that's when I forgot which commentator was speculating that maybe it's in his contract. So I think it's anything else in the sense that if Lando's ahead, this time Lando wasn't ahead. So if Lando's ahead and he's going in, he needs help, I think as it continues on, he will fall in line and help him, right? Especially now that he just stamped his claim like, I won this, I took this, nobody gave this to me. Something Lewis said as well when someone asked him, one of the reporters asked him how he felt, about his old team winning, and he said he was happy. He said, he doesn't feel most of the people, he's not sure even if most of the people that were there when he was there were there now. So it's like a whole new team. So now they have to learn, because if those people, let's say, were there, they would have remembered from when Lewis and Fernando were together how to manage that. So you can see they're going through the growing pains of that, because they have 2 number 1 drivers. They don't have a number 1 and 2.
And that's where I was going to say that 2 things can be true. I think they do have a good problem. Yes. It's a problem, but they have a good problem in the sense where they got 2 great drivers. And where the problem comes in is making decisions on the fly during the race, pivoting, helping, supporting, tire management, who's coming first. That's going to all play out during the race, right? I think whoever qualifies the best gets off the line better during the race, during the first lap. I think that is probably going to dictate initially what the decision is going to be. But, again, the race can change. Today, I did see Lando hold up Perez a little bit, and that was pretty good. All he needed was 1 lap, so Piastri can change his tire, and he did that, right? Gave him the 5 seconds he needed to get out in front. And that's, to me, that was probably the difference. It was definitely Leclerc, Piastri, and Perez's race to win. All 3 of them had freaking fast cars. Unbelievable. And Sainz too. Sainz too had a pretty fast car.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if Leclerc would have gotten back in front of Piastri, whether or not he would have won. I really don't know, because it was tit for tat. Leclerc mentioned during his interview that McLaren was fast on the straights, but he was able to catch up on the corners. So I think they probably had an equal car in all sense of the matter, and it just depended on where part of the track that they would be able to benefit and pass.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think the pass that Piastri dropped on Charles was a Max Verstappen special, right? Because he came from way back there. Instead of being loosey goosey in the corner, he had the car under control and went through, right? And I think Charles saw it and thought of the long game and checked up, right, so that he didn't go through, right? But I wanted to rewind to the pass that they had right before the when Checko challenged Charles for 2nd place, right? And then when he came back through, Carlos came behind him, right? Right before the crash and got in front. So my question to you is this: did you think Charles checked up on Checko a little bit when he coming out of that corner? Because
absolutely.
So okay, let's play this out. So you're saying then Charles kind of orchestrated that Carlos would have to go on the outside on the dirty side in order for him to come back, right? Because Carlos was trying to get up underneath Charles, right, to get moving. They're saying, everybody's saying he was going to attack, right? But because you notice when he comes in right behind him, is he runs out of room right away, so he had to go to the outside, right? And because he went to the outside, he had to do the corner on the outside, which has all the marbles. So he couldn't go back to throttle quick enough because Checko was on the racing line and he had all the traction.
Do you think he checked up Ralph or Ray?
From what I saw, I don't necessarily think. I think Charles was running his race, right? And I think it was a case where Carlos caught up to them because he and Sergio were battling. Right. So when you're battling a car, we all know you can't go as fast as you normally would because you're watching, you're checking, you're moving, you're countering. And I think, Carlos used that to close up. And then he was like, hey, if I could scoot by as well, I'm going to take it. So when he scooted by, yeah, it looked like he was going to challenge Charles, and he probably would have. But I think what Ray's saying, he got offline. And he had to kind of back out of it. And then Sergio closed up again because he's on the line. He's on the clean part of the track.
I think two things: tires, and also trying to have Perez and Sainz battle each other so he can try and stay ahead. Because he's out of tires, right? So what he didn't want to do is come in third or fourth. So he probably didn't have the grip even to slow down on brake or even speed up. So he had to use Sainz to make sure Perez stayed in fourth place. I'm sure if we can watch the team radio, I'm sure that there was some commentary there for that. But I think he's lucky. I think if they didn't crash, he would have came in fourth place, maybe even fifth, because Russell was coming. But yeah, I think he got lucky. I think Sainz and Perez were going to pass him.
I don't think Mercedes had anything for the Red Bull and Ferrari guys this time around, right? Because even coming through, Russell had a big tip. Well, I don't know. Max was completely off his game with the car today.
Yeah,
right?
we'll
He was complaining that it was understeering, all this other stuff. So I kind of, I think Checko was on, and I think the Ferrari guys were on also. And I think that, for Mercedes to throw up in the picture, I think the only way they showed up was because of, two cars got taken out. I don't think they were going to be up there to fight for the front. That's my take.
And I agree, because I don't think there was enough laps. Because that pass happened on lap 50.
Yeah.
You're probably right, Russell.
Right. So it was one more lap. So there, so I think that lends to the argument that, yeah, maybe Charles was trying to use Carlos as a buffer between him and Perez, so he could relax on his tires a little bit, and Carlos could buffer, could hold him up so that they could get that, second and third, right? Yep. As a team strategy. Now that it plays out, I think that was more or less the plan. But as we're leading into it, that accident happened, which I'll just say it off the top. I put it on Sergio.
Okay.
I put the blame there. And the reason is,
I disagree.
Is, okay.
We'll talk about
I'm going to say, the reason I'm saying it is, we saw an overhead shot. Sergio had a lot of room. The wall was not that close to him. He could have eased over. He could have went to his left more when he saw that Carlos was coming over. But he held his line. And I can understand, like we've talked about it in the past, these drivers, they're trying to set the standard that I'm not going to jump out of your way kind of thing, right? But I think on lap 50, trying to get some points, I think that was not smart. I think he should have eased over and then try to settle in again and just attack him, but he probably just got caught up in the emotion. But that's my thought.
Okay. Well, yeah, I put it on Sergio, yes, because still when Carlos was coming over, right? Even if he checked up, he could have flipped and went on the outside of him and go around him still, right? Even though he had, he'd be on the outside of the corner, right? He could have still flipped up, and because, he had enough, I think he had enough momentum that if he just came out the throttle a little bit, he could go right back to throttle and go around him, right? So that even though Carlos was going back over, right? Because where I guess if I was Checko, and that, again, looking back at it, where the stood ground is that when I went out the outside, right, I would not come back all the way over to open up the corner again. I'll be close to the middle of the road so that he has a right angle to take care of now, right? And so that's what I'll do, unless I was trying to set up for another over-under setup where you go out, and then when the other person comes diving down, then you just you can go to throttle quick them right up on the inside of them. I just think that I would agree with that statement that Checko wasn't thinking the long game. I think he was kind of in the moment, and he should have just move up, because Sykes was ahead of him, right? They call it front wheel to back wheel, right? It's not that he was next to the side pod next to him, right? He accelerated away from him. So I think you had to do a different evaluation at that point. So and because of their interaction, Mercedes picked up what they needed to pick up. So that's my take on that one.
Yeah. So I hear what you guys are saying, but I have another point of view there, right? So you're trying to pass two Ferraris, and you have 2 laps left. Mm-hmm. You got in front of one of them, but on the turn you lost the position. Yes, you're right. Sykes was in front, but now's the time I need to keep my elbows out so I can position myself for the next turn. You do want Sykes to say, well, I can't go to the left because Perez is there to position myself for the next turn. So I'm either have to stay where I am or go to the right. And that's what I think Perez was doing, because he's saying, all right, I got 2 laps left. I got 2 Ferraris I need to pass. If I give any more room, I won't be able to pass neither one of them. Right. So I think with only having 2 laps left, he had to try something, not knowing. I mean, they've been racing pretty clean for the last 10 races. There hasn't been a crash or even a safety car for the last 10 races. So I would have went for the gamble as well. What does Perez got to lose at this point? He's what, 8th or 7th in the points right now.
Well,
and he's trying to embarrass Verstappen at this point. He needs to do something and change up his. I mean, he's been having a hard time this whole season. People were making fun of him this whole season.
He needs a season and a half to change that view. He's not going to embarrass Max.
Well, I'm just talking about for this race. He's trying to change the narrative. So being a little aggressive here and there, I just think he saw an opportunity, kept his elbows out. He had no idea Sykes was going to come to the left a little bit and touch. That's what I think.
I would be on board with you if his front wheel was by the front side pod of Carlos.
Yes.
Right? Because Carlos at that point had no excuse. You don't even have to look at your mirror. You can these drivers, they can see when a car is around them. Right. They have that sensing. So he would have sensed that the car is right there, and he just did with a little bit of his eye, he'd have seen the car. But the fact that he thought he accelerated away from it, he didn't feel it, and he was, he caught him on the back wheel. It's just like, it's time for you to, Sergio's trying to save his spot. True, right? But I think he just, he got caught up in the moment where he could have still just checked up, because he had the measure of the Ferrari guys, right? And he was close enough that he could come back in there and go at it, right? So I just think that, he held his ground at the wrong time, I think. That's what I think.
His emotion got the better of him, and it happens, because I agree, Ray. He wasn't, the nose of his car wasn't up to his side pod or closer to the cockpit of the car. It was at the back. I mean, you would think then, lift, get out of it, and then jump back on it so you can catch him at another spot on the track. So that's what I think. I mean, hey, it's a racing incident.
You guys gang up on me.
It's a racing incident.
You better join the club.
It's a racing incident, but I had to put it more on Sergio, because he was far enough back on Carlos's car that he could have lifted or moved over to the left to avoid. But it happens. The greats have done it. They've all done it. Your emotion gets to you at some point. You want to get this person. He
had a fast Red Bull though, which is a good segue. What the heck?
Yes, which is actually, here's the thing. I think it was last race, Ray. You mentioned that it might have been that you wonder if there's something with the car that maybe doesn't favor Sergio's driving style. and favored Max, right? You had mentioned that, and I saw an interview with Sergio where he basically said that what he was saying is that Max was less sensitive to an issue that the car had that Sergio was experiencing for the last 10 or 12 races, right? And he was bringing it to the team's attention. He said, but now it seems that the issue is more pronounced than Max is feeling it, which we've seen a drop in his form, right? And now the team can see it in the data, and now they're looking into it, right? So they're hoping. That's what Sergio said. Okay, go ahead.
I say they can see it in the data now. They're finally admitting it because it's been there in the data all this time, right? Because they claim that Max likes a car that's loose, right? So the rear end walks around a lot. Max likes that. The car right now does a lot of understeer. So it seems like Sergio knows how to handle an understeering car than one that's too loose, right? So that's kind of what's going on, right? Because I think they're saying that the tires are not getting switched on, right? Because and it has something to do with the compounds also. But I won't put it solely on the team. It's what tire Pirelli brings to it, right? Because you have to set your car up to meet the compound that Pirelli's putting on putting under you, right? But ultimately they're saying the car is more understeering now, and Max likes an oversteer car. So maybe the car's coming to the sweet spot, but that's been there all along. And these dudes are like, whatever, dude. Whatever. You need to adjust. So now, the karma's come around, and now it's biting everybody in the butt.
Right, but what I also say is when this supposed device they had on the car was removed is when the form dropped. The performance of the cars dropped, but yet now we're seeing Sergio's form pick up. So I found that very interesting when they say that. And as far as now they're paying attention to, that's been going on in Formula One since whenever. It's like whoever the number one driver is, if they're able to function in it, the number two, they'll try to do certain things, but they're not going to redo the car for you. You're going to have to, rise to what the car is, But when the number one is having an issue, they're going to jump on it, And I mean, Max is a world champion, so that's the inter-team stuff we don't always see.
That's the reason why I said Sergio wanted to prove something in this race, and if he had an opportunity to pass the Ferrari and keep his elbows out, pass two Ferraris and come in second, he was going to do it. Right now, he probably hindsight 2020, he's probably saying, dang, I should have focused on Seiss and not necessarily Leclerc at this point. So Leclerc might have come to him. But yeah, I think he was just trying to stretch his wings.
Right.
Prove that he belongs.
It may be a case, I don't remember the year, I don't remember who his teammate was. I think it was Alex Wirtz, and I believe he was racing for Benetton. I want to think Flavio Briatore was the team principal. But anyway, Wirtz was not performing compared to his teammate. And he was not performing. And he was always saying to them, it's a problem with my car. It's a problem. And they didn't believe him until one day, for whatever reason, they found out that the monocoque was cracked in his car. And once they replaced it, his performance came up. And I remember his interview. I felt happy for him, because he was like, I told him it wasn't me, it's the car. But his teammate was the one, and he wasn't. So they weren't really paying attention to him that deep. They try certain things. So when Sergio said that, it kind of it reminded me of that situation where it's like, he may have been all this time saying, hey, it's this, but they're not gonna, Max can drive it.
And we mentioned that maybe 5-6 races ago that something's wrong. We thought it maybe something personal or something. The driving style with the car, and come to find out it's the car. I mean, look what he did today. I mean, he really drove today. I mean, you can't tell him nothing. He qualified all weekend. He pretty much told Red Bull, hey, I'm better than Verstappen today.
It was the reverse. It was like where we would say, where was Max? Because Sergio was up front. I
think it was good. So what did you guys think about the two rookies coming in and getting points on their first race, man? I thought that was awesome. Lewis even talked about it a little bit in his interview that he had fun racing against some of the rookies, is what he called them, the young chaps. And they're getting an opportunity to come out and doing so well. What did you guys think?
They're showing that they have they're definitely belong there. And I mean, to come out and score points again, I think what this is the second time Ollie Berman has scored. What, he finished 10th in this. He got a point, and then when he subbed in for Carlos, right? What did he finish? I think he finished 7th and got 6 points. And Franco, yeah, he got 4 points, finished 8th. That's great.
It really slaps what's his name, Logan Sargent in the face, right? Because he took Logan. Franco took Logan Sargent's seat, right? So basically, it don't look good for Logan Sargent, right? Well, he's not there anymore, but still, right? It's just showing you the different driving style that this guy is. He's got his feet under him, and he knows how to pedal the car, right? My only question though with Berman, if Magnussen was in the car, you think Magnussen would have finished in that spot or a little bit better? Berman's only there for this one race, right? Magnussen comes back next race.
Based on experience, Magnussen probably would have finished the same spot or better. I mean, you just got to go with that. He has more track time, more car time, more seat time. So I have to assume that he would do just as good or better.
And we could say that. I didn't track his finishes, but you can also say that. Well, we know the Haas isn't a Ferrari, because when he had the opportunity, he finished 7th, pretty strong in a Ferrari. I think that's a place Carlos has gotten sometimes.
Yeah, and where was Leclerc?
Leclerc finished 3rd.
He came in 7th.
And he came in 7th.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, rookie in F1. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So what's going on with Mercedes, man? The last 2 races, they didn't look too good. They're not looking too good. What's going on?
They're still trying to figure out the car, I guess, right? Because what was it? Lewis came up 10 spots, and Lando did 11 spots, right? But Lando started from 15th, and I guess Lewis started from the pits. It's just funny. Lando mentioned that Albon, when he was coming through, made him work to go by him, right? Whereas McLaren has the fastest car now. If that were Max, they would just pull over and let Max go by. You follow what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of curious with that observation, because Lando came back and said, he had to dice with Alex for a couple laps in order to get around him, right? So when he was coming through the field, whereas my observation that when Max was in his, I'm not, but in the past when Max has come through, people just like push over and just like let him go, right? As opposed to even though it's a faster car, he's taking the stance that if you're a fast car, you have to work your way around me. I don't have to let you by. I am racing my race. You're quicker than me. So you know what? You figure out where you're going to pass and pass.
I'm glad we got a podcast, because if we were commentating races, your conspiracy theories will be number one on the show that we're talking about, Ray. So Ray, this week, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, no, but hold on, Simon. Let me throw some fuel on that fire of Ray's conspiracy theory. So hold on now, Ray. Hold on to your chair. I saw an interview on Sky Sports. It was Jacques Villeneuve, and Bernie Collins, and I forgot who the other Sky reporter was. Anyway, they had an interview with Lewis, where Lewis, he said, the reporter asked Lewis, it was a struggle out there for a lot of people today, how was it for you? Lewis answered and said,
same Saturday as always.
Now, when I saw the interview, he said, same Saturday as always, but I was looking at his face and I was like, that's an interesting facial expression there. So the guy goes, what issues were you dealing with the car? And he said,
the same thing as every Saturday.
He goes, yesterday the car felt amazing. Thought it could have been on the second row. And he came in today and the tires don't work all day. But again, it's his facial expression. So much so that even Jacques Villeneuve commented to say, yeah, when a driver starts to, I don't know if he's alluding to something going on with the team, but he said, well, when a driver starts thinking that way, it's never usually good. And I say that, let me put some kerosene on it now. I say that because what was the race? Where did George get disqualified for the light car?
Monza, right? Monza?
Was it Monza? Okay. But I remember whichever one it was. Again, another interview I saw.
No, it was Spa. Sorry, it was
Spa.
Spa because they did not circle the track all the way around. I stand corrected.
That's what I thought.
So he just came in. They put them right in after they came to the circle. Yes.
Right.
Spa.
I believe. Right. That's what I thought. So I remember. I believe it was Peter Windsor that said it. That he said he saw Lewis. No, it was not Peter Windsor. It was Kim Illman. He said that he saw Lewis right after. The team was hugging up George and everything like that, and Lewis was kind of like off to the side by himself. And he said kind of felt sorry for him in a little way, like he's no longer really with the team. And then up came George, got disqualified, and he moved up. I just say that to say, like, I don't know, is he racing the same car as George?
I believe, Ray, and I'll hand it over to you, that Mercedes is probably going to do some testing with George's car. They're probably getting ready for next year. They're not in the window for winning the competition, right? So you got to succeed somewhere and say, all right, well, let's focus on some other things so we're ready and we're in the hunt for next year. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're going to share all of that with Lewis now because they have a future enemy in the midst, right? Mm-hmm. So there's going to be differences between their cars. There's going to be. I mean, to me, I think they would be stupid if they weren't trying things for next year. They're going to, but they don't want Lewis to come, to always understand what that is. They're probably going to say, here's some general things we're going to tweak, which probably all the other constructors are tweaking in the same general aspect. But I'm anything that's special to George, he won't get. No. He won't be privy to that information.
No. And also it's always been known, teams have done this. There comes a point, especially this late in the season, you kind of know where you're going to finish again, unless you're really battling for the constructors or the drivers title. Those teams, they'll, try to hold on to that. They will test things for the next year. They will bring out things to see how it is. They'll put it on the car, and see. Yeah, Lewis wouldn't get that. He wouldn't get that because he's going to take that knowledge to Ferrari. So, that may be part of it.
Well, we see with Red Bull and Checko right now, right? They were like, forget you. What do you mean you can't drive the car? You need to drive it. And now that they got busted, Checko's getting a car that he seems to like now. He's showing you that, hey, I can do this. So I agree that, they will be all the positive updates are going to go to George. And and Lewis is going to languish in the back. And if you have something that's really experimental that they don't really know don't know what the potential outcome is, they might throw that on Lewis's car to see what happens. Right. Because he's the guinea pig.
Right.
Yeah. He's a bit. Right.
Yeah, but George did say the tires were crap as well. He said once they switched to the hard tires, his car was up to pace with the rest of them.
I got one more take for you.
Go ahead. Hit me. Hit us.
You ever notice when George is out there on thing, he goes, great drive by, myself and the team, and Lewis did well. I think he's taking a dig at Lewis every time. Yeah. He's not being sincere when, he's happy for Lewis. He's just saying, I'm better than you. That's what I think he's going on with that.
Yeah. I can see that.
Okay.
But you know what? Listen, man. Lewis is a 7-time world champion.
Grown man.
I've always said this, and I'll say it again. F1 world champions, they all are a bit dickish at times, and that's the only way I can say it. You look at any one of them. Lewis. I'm a fan of Lewis, but Lewis has a moment that he could be dickish as well. They do those things, so I don't pay that any mind, and I'm sure he's not either. I mean, if he were a rookie, but he's a 7-time. And I put that with a question mark. 7-time. We know.
He's not 8.
We know, but we won't say. World champion, so he can handle that.
Yeah, I think they all are like that, though, right? I think you kind of have to be a Richard to be a champion. I think Michael Jordan is a Richard. I think Serena Williams. I think you can go down the list. Even soccer players, you have to, and you're not really doing it on purpose. It's just you're so focused on winning that nothing else matters. Right? So, I think that's how it comes off. Right?
Yeah, that's fine. George is still trying to stamp his claim. I mean, he's got 7 world titles to really do that. if he's trying to really come after Lewis. I mean, hey, but yeah, they're all the one I admire with that though the most is Fernando. he is like some Sith Lord because he when he's being dickish, he's being dickish, and he knows how to play it in all arenas.
All right.
Political and on track. But anyway.
Well, I think that's all we have for today's episode, everyone. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate your support. And until next time, which is next week, have a good night.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Good night.